I would like to introduce our MC. Our MC is Laura Malik. Laura Malik is the owner of the Malik Group. She's in Maryland and she covers the Virginia area as well. Laura is a former team leader and she is also a fellow John Maxwell leadership coach. She is a small team owner. She has sold over 200 homes. She's a speaker. She's a coach. She's a really great trainer. And she has led hundreds of agents to increase production. Fun fact about Laura is she's a really good dancer. So if you follow all of us on social media, go ahead and follow us. She's the first one, and there's a reason I chose her to be the first one. Laura, did you take dance class?
Oh, I did, yes. I was wondering what your random fact was going to be, but yes, I did.
When you had the hands going, I was like, I need to learn some of that. So welcome, Laura, and all of you guys, welcome, and thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited to dive into you a little bit later here, but I want to get us started now that we're all on. So excited to talk to you guys through this. I think the biggest thing that I want to remind everybody is that if you look in previous years, just like anything, change is always happening. And so, yes, change is coming and maybe it's bigger changes, but if you really look at the industry, change has happened every year. And so there's really no different except what are you doing to be on the other side of that change? So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and make sure everyone can see it. Are we good?
We're good.
Okay, awesome. And so here's who you're going to hear from today. So I'm so excited to, if I can jump in with our first speaker. So we have Daniel here, who is from Nashville. He manages a successful team that has over 34 agents, but he also is currently active in the business broker and merging and acquisition area as well. As you can see, the fun fact, which is very new, was a spirit animal is Curious George. So I would love in the chat, if you guys have a not Curious George, if you have a spirit animal, please let me know. I don't have one, so this was new to me, so I feel like I need to come up with it. But if anyone relates, let's see who you are. But what's so fitting and what I love is that it's a reminder that you shouldn't always just be learning in your industry. There's so much power when you choose to learn from others and from other business models and from other industries. And so Daniel went on with his wife, went on a survival, seminar, survival, I don't know, whatever it was, survival class. He went on a survival class, actually went out in the wilderness and paid for this. But he learned an amazing acronym that, oddly enough, he was able to bring to real estate a couple weeks ago, and it's called STOPA. And he's going to start us off, tell us about this journey and how he learned this tool is going to be so helpful for the changes that we're about to go. So take it away, Daniel.
All right. Well, thank you for the opportunity, everybody. And I appreciate in advance you listening to this completely random story. So I bought my wife a wilderness survival training school for Christmas. I figured, what could go wrong? This is a excellent opportunity for us to, improve our team building. And of course, my mother thinks that we're going to be Bear Grylls she's like, are you going to be dropped into the woods in a helicopter? I'm like, no, Mom, promise I'm going to bring Rachel back. So we went to the Smoky Mountains. This was just a few weeks ago. And last week I was masterminding with the other leaders on this call, and they kept saying, we need to have kind of a survival class for real estate. And I said, hey, I actually just went on one of these. And I was taking notes and taking pictures during the class thinking, man, I need to turn this into a sales conversation at some point. So anyways, I'll just kind of share with you how the class went, and then maybe some perspective that to survive in the wilderness, how you can also survive and thrive in your real estate business. So we went to the Smoky Mountains again just a few weeks ago. It was about 40 degrees outside. It was raining. We were both, nervous and scared. And and you can keep going on the slide there. The first 10 minutes, the guy said, I don't want you to introduce yourself to anybody here. And so we got there, like, that's kind of weird. He doesn't want us to meet anybody. The guy who led the class, he is ex-military. He leads a search and rescue team in the Smoky Mountains, right? So this is like super tough guy, saves people's lives. They get, it's a 900 square miles that him and his team cover. And they get about 100 calls a year for people that have, for various reasons gotten lost in the park and need to be rescued. Lots of stories of people not making it. And so it was a very serious, kind of surreal experience. But what he was teaching us, these are things that he uses in every day to save people's lives. So first test was, he said, okay, guys, there's a storm coming in. It'll be here in 20 minutes. And I need you, there's probably, 12 people in this course. He said, I need you to build an easel, a shelter, and a fire. And literally you have 20 minutes, go. And so you would assume that, the adrenaline starts pumping and you want to just run and do something. And luckily there was a guy in our group that just said, okay, wait, everybody stop. And he said, calm down. All right, who here is good at building something? And this guy said, oh, I'm an engineer. He goes, okay, you build the shelter. And he said, who here has built a fire before? This guy said, hey, I was stationed in blah, blah, blah for 10 years. And he's like, okay, you build a fire, you. And I thought it was just a great lesson to start, that when the adrenaline starts pumping and something bad is about to happen, that people tend to scramble. And, good leadership is just stopping, slowing down, pointing at the right person, and telling them what to do. So we accomplished everything. He was pretty surprised, the leader. But the lesson was, why did he tell us to make an easel? Right. And the easel, he said it first, he said, make an easel, a shelter, and a fire. But at the end of the day, an easel is not going to do anything to save your life. And it's you being able to prioritize what's going on in your surroundings and saying, hey, the shelter is the most important thing, and then the fire, and then the easel. Right. So just wanted to kind of get some thoughts going in your brain, like in your business right now, we've got this big adrenaline event happening with the lawsuits. Are you scrambling? Are you slowing down? Let the adrenaline fall out, and then moving on with your business. So the next lesson he got into was, like Laura said, was stoppa, right? And so typically when you get lost in the wilderness, the adrenaline's flowing. And he suggested that you really always want to slow down first, right? So he taught us a technique called box breathing, right? So box breathing, you breathe in for 3 seconds, and then you hold it for 3 seconds, then you blow out for 3 seconds. Then you breathe in for 3 seconds, you hold it, breathe out. And so first stopping and essentially assessing what's actually going on is really key to your survival, because if you don't slow down and you make a quick and fast decision, you could run in the wrong direction and potentially slip into a ravine and break your ankle, right? So first he suggested, make sure if you get lost, stop first, right? And then you want to think, right? So get your breathing under control. And then he made us all turn in our reasons to live. Like we all had to write in a piece of paper and turn in. Mine was, I want to be at my great grandkids' wedding. And, he said, whenever you get into a really sticky situation, reminding yourself of what's really important in your life and why you're doing what you're doing is really sometimes the critical thing that leads to the perseverance that you need to actually make it. So as you're thinking, you really want to adapt and improvise to the situation and not necessarily just do things the way you've always done them, right? So slow down. Assess the situation, remember why you're doing this, why your business is important, why the people are important that you're working so hard for. And then the key is understanding what's the difference between a fear and a threat, right? So a lot of people think that, if they get lost in the woods, they're going to get eaten by a bear. Well, that actually only happens a very rare amount of times. Most of the time, the reason people don't make it back is because they get further lost. They actually make their situation worse. And then they end up, like I said, breaking an ankle or have gear failure. and get off the trails, right? And then people aren't able to find you. So what's the difference between a fear and a threat right now in your business? I think it's important for us to understand the difference between the two. The next would be observe, right? And just understanding really what your surroundings are and what are the actual threats. You know, is it weather? Is it animals? Is it injury? Are you just scared? But what is an actual threat to you in this moment? And if you think about where the real estate industry is, you know, there's a change in the way that we may do paperwork. There may be a change on what line item we get paid as buyers agents. However, the business is rolling on. You know, at the end of the day, there's going to be people that take this next chapter and use it as an opportunity. And there's always opportunity, you know, after tragedy. So the next, just thinking about your plan. And the thing I wanted to touch on here is just when you're planning, you have to understand what your priorities are. And so if you make a plan that's outside of your priorities, are you actually even accomplishing your goal, right? So priority was in Latin actually a singular word, right? We Americanized it and made it into plural, but there is certain things in your life and in your business that are a higher priority than other things, right? So plan based on your actual priorities and make your plan simple and executable. So last one was act, right? So I personally believe that one of the keys of success is to pray while your feet are moving, right? That action begets more action, and the action in your business creates the insight, and it's not the other way around. But just a couple of notes if you're actually lost in the woods is one, remove your wet clothes, right? So right now we're all a little bit shamed, you know, as an industry. You know, do you have wet clothes on that just kind of make you feel icky about being an agent or icky about the current environment of the way realtors are treated? You know, let that story go. Did you realize that your brain actually believes whatever you tell it, right? And so for me, this experience in the wilderness training was just having perspective around you know, is it really important to keep going forward? I mean, I think we've all kind of experienced that recently. Like, is this industry stopping? Should I get another job? Should I do this or that? Just make no mistake. Like, there's still opportunities there. And the stories that you're telling yourself affect the way that you act. So change your stories. Having perspective and awareness around the stories you're telling yourself is one of the first things that you need to do to break to the next level. So another thing, stay on the trails, right? Success has windy a path, but there is a path. And many times when people get lost, they go down in a ravine trying to find a river instead of just going back and finding the path that they were on. So the search and rescue team is going to first search down the paths and all the trails. So stay on the trails. Wear bright colors, right? Be proud of who you are and what you do. And don't be afraid to wave your arms when there's other people around you trying to help, that you're wearing bright colors and people can find you. Another just kind of interesting tip was that, you know, drink the water, right? I think you see a lot of these survival shows and the Naked and Afraid, right? Where people are afraid that they're going to get sick by drinking the water. Well, in a survival situation, you can actually drink the water and not get sick for about 3 weeks. Most search and rescues happen within less than 7 days. So if you find some water, drink it, right? He would say, if you cheat to win, right? If you need to cheat and use the tools around you to actually get what you want, cheat to win, right? So if you find water, go ahead and drink it. Only travel in daylight, right? Traveling at night when you're discombobulated, when you're not feeling your best, you know, it's better to sit down and get a full night's sleep and get some rest, eat some food, right? And travel during the day. Next would be know your geography. You know, did you realize that there is a North Star? And if you can identify the North Star at night, then you know which way to go. So in your business right now, do you really know what the North Star is? Do you know which way that you're trying to go every day? And if you don't have a North Star, how do you know if you're ever making progress towards your goals? And the last thing, which I thought was kind of funny, is to conserve your calories. So Andrew, the leader of this thing, he's been asked to be on Naked and Afraid many times. And he always says no because he said it would just be boring. He said that whenever you're in time of tragedy, if you can conserve your energy and conserve your calories, that you can make it long enough for somebody to find you. So if he ever got on Naked Afraid, he said he would just sit there for 3 weeks and it would be a boring show because he knows that his body can outlast any of those initial impacts, as you're out there in the wilderness. So I put on here a nice little slide of if you're wanting to see what calories that certain animals eat. There's raccoon on there. There's possum. I'm sure most of you didn't realize that possums have 7,000 calories. So I wanted to put that there just to think about, you managing your energy in this environment is really important. So what calories are you putting into your body? What are you conserving your energy to only do the most important tasks of your business? So that's a little picture of the tent that we built. The emergency shelter. Did you realize that if you actually use a knife at the right angle, you can cut down a tree with it, right? So they carry these translucent tarps into the wilderness, and essentially, if you start a fire outside of a translucent tarp, it radiates energy into that shelter. So right now, do you have a translucent tarp in your life? Are you surrounded by people that are helping light that fire for you to help you move forward and hit your goals? So, just wanted to kind of pass on a word of encouragement here. I'll kind of wrap it up, but this is my wife and I. We did actually make it. She did actually make it home. And the message I wanted to just kind of end with is that the key in the wilderness survival is the preparation, right? So he shared with us that the number one reason people get lost is because they're not checking their gear before they go on a trip. They're not taking inventory of the tools that they already have and using those tools to your advantage. And when you need to make an emergency fire, the key to it is the preparation, right? You actually have to go to evergreen trees. Like we built a fire from scratch when it was raining, right? And you had to go under evergreen trees, cedars, pine trees, and then you pick fallen branches that are hanging in the tree, right? And that keeps them dry. So my point there would be, are you preparing for your business to succeed right now? How much time are you spending before you go on an appointment with somebody, before a phone call, before a meeting? And if you can slow down a little bit, prepare more, then you're going to have a lot more success. So I'll just kind of end it up there. If anybody has a Q&A, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Love it. Love it. Love it. So you see how powerful that is, like something that he learned to grow himself. And I don't know what that's from, like why you wanted to do that. Maybe you're in the wilderness a lot, but now you have all the tools you need. But it really relates to our business in a really powerful way. Like that's the way our brains work, right? Like, do you have that North Star? What are you doing to prepare yourself? And if you're kind of like watching what's going on out there with other agents, a lot of us are not stopping and thinking, and it's kind of going into that panic place. And like, we don't need to go to that panic place. Like, we don't want to go down the wrong way. We want to go down the right way. And it's by putting yourself in rooms like this and collaborating that's going to help you find that path. We find it together. We find it working as a team. We find it from learning from other people's strengths. And so I just love that like story. And it's like, we're going to stop and we're going to think, right? We're not going to panic. And we're going to go into observing, because what's awesome, like we really need to sit in this area and observe, because you guys, you all have what you need to succeed post-July. We're here to remind you the tools that you have. So that being said, I get to introduce the wonderful Laura Cooper. As you can see, she's based in Houston. What I love is that you can never underestimate really what someone can achieve. And she's done that. She quit her day job in 2021 and has since then iconed every year. 2 of the last 3 years, she has sold 70 transactions per a year. That is amazing. And she says she's the crouching tiger with the hidden dragon. Again, I really need to lean into the spirit animal. So if I haven't seen your spirit animal, please tell me in the chat box. But what I love is actually her secret sauce. And I don't know if she knows this. She actually already has this incredible knowledge of to observe naturally, which is why she's going to speak to you about it. I just noticed this from her that right away, she was not in panic mode at all. She was in observe mode of like, whoa, whoa, whoa. What is everybody saying and why? And she's going to dive in. So Laura, I'll have you take it away.
Thank you, Laura. So, yeah, listening to Daniel's story, that's kind of the inspiration for this whole event, I think, was listening to him tell his story, anecdotally about being out there in the woods and trying to figure it all out. And really just getting your bearings and asking some really, in my opinion, poignant and thought-provoking questions when we're in this environment. I really have been dumbfounded by all the conclusions people have jumped to. And really, it's, to me, almost like just sitting and asking yourself questions like, what has really changed? Has anything changed yet? And a lot of people are fear-mongering with our commissions getting lowered. So I just sit and think, well, has my value decreased? Who has changed my value? So I think in moments like this, what I really want to do is have people like myself that have been in this business for a little while or that are new to this business to don't get caught up in the media hype and the panic, and ground yourself. And the whole fear versus actual threat resonates with me hugely. And so I want to encourage you all to kind of think about what's really in front of us. What information do we really have? And are we creating fears that are fake, that are based in people making a bunch of assumptions and worry, or are they real? So, the thing about your value that for me has been the biggest, it's kind of been the biggest profound thought is nothing about what I am doing is any different, and nothing about what I expect to be paid is going to change. I know why I'm doing this, and I do have my North Star, but what is your North Star? I think asking yourself the questions, what should I spend my time on? What's important to me in my business? What do I have in my business already at my disposal? Take a minute, look around. What do you have in front of you? What do you need to have in order to be successful in this time? I think it's just a moment like this, you need to stop and you need to take stock of everything that's around you and stop creating fear, worry, and anxiety. So those things are, like Daniel said, I think when we get in that mode and we're creating thoughts, your brain believes what you tell it. A lot of the things that we're hearing on the news, a lot of the things that we're hearing in podcasts and blogs are not actually happening. Nothing has changed. So stop and think. Stop and think and observe what's going on. I think we have a lot of tools that we're going to be putting out in this group that are going to help us take stock of what we've got. And I think that, Laura, we have I think that's what we have coming up. The next slide is going to be getting in touch with our survival score. So when Daniel was telling his story, what I thought about was the whole concept of kind of what is it called, Daniel? The Naked and Afraid, PCR. Tell me, you had it. It's your
primitive survival rating.
Right, your PSR score. So yes. I've dabbled in a little bit of the survival shows. I've watched survival some, but when he was telling his story, I was like, oh my God, this is it. It's how do we survive this business and how do we give ourselves a rating? So it's asking those tough questions. And I think getting yourself in a group of people and getting yourself alone and looking in the mirror and figuring out what's real, what's fake, what tools do I have, what tools do I need. And I think that that just leads perfectly into everybody taking a minute to assess.
Yes. And I love, you kind of like said these already, but like whenever she asks these questions, you ask them with such power. You're like, who lowered your value? Like,
Right.
who lowered your value? Who gave you permit? Like, no, don't do that, you know?
Right.
And you also ask some really good key questions too of like, they're on here as you can see, but like, what is your region and state already doing? Like, take observations of how people are helping you.
Correct.
What can you control?
Correct. So I think that's a big, this is a big point. So, you know, we do have to remember that we're regional. All of us that are in this, in our grow group, we're all from different parts of the country, and our states are all operating a little bit differently already. So, you can't just take the national news and what's coming out from NAR. Yes, NAR is the head organization, but a lot of our states have already got compensation agreements with our buyers and our sellers that cover some of these topics. Now, you may not have been doing a great job of covering those topics as fully as you should have, and so you need to kind of expand your presentations. But our state, specifically in Texas, we do have a lot of these things covered in our agreements. And so rather than me freak out and say, oh my God, you know, how am I going to talk to my buyers differently now? I'm like, well, no, it's already in our documentation. So what I need to do as a real estate professional is I need to like link myself into groups and conversations that are covering what's actually happening in my state so that I know how to proceed forward instead of panicking and not just observing what I've already got in front of me. So really huge. And the value thing, I mean, I'm going to leave everybody with that, because that is really, to me, one of the most profound questions is, you know, what has changed about my value? And the answer for me is nothing. The only thing that's going to change about my value is what I'm going to do from this point forward to increase my value. I'm not going to sit here and be scared that my value is decreasing, because that's not what's changing. Nothing about what's inside of me and how I operate as a real estate agent is changing just because something changed legally or with one of our associations.
I love it. I get the goosebumps every time she says it, because it's so true. Like, we haven't lost our value. We haven't lost our experience. We haven't lost our knowledge and how we can help our buyers and sellers. Are things adjusting a little bit? Yes. And that's just what happens with business, right? And that's why we're here. So for anyone that's just jumping on, I do apologize if you couldn't get on the link. We're so excited you're here. We're going through an awesome acronym called STOPA, STOPA, and the S is stop. We're thinking, and now we're in observe, and the recording will come out. So if you missed those minutes, you'll be able to catch up, no problem. All right, so now we're gonna play a game. We're gonna have a little fun. What is your survival score? So if you are in a position where you can grab a paper and pen or your phone with notes, go do that, but don't go anywhere, just grab it. But if you're, in the car or you're doing whatever you're doing, that's fine too. Think about this in your head. Is we're going to go a little bit over our survival score, and it's this observe piece that we miss. We sometimes forget to stop and think. Some of us don't. Now you guys won't. But we miss the observe, and we're like, we don't look for the lighter. We just try to go start the fire. I think Daniel said, I'm trying to get all my inner dialogue out. And we forget to observe. We just go to plan. We go to plan, or sometimes we go to action, right? You cannot forget observe and plan. So let's observe our businesses. So the questions are going to be up, and I'm going to read through them quickly. So you can skip ahead. You don't have to listen to me, but you're going to rate yourself on 1 to 5, 5 being the highest, awesome. And you're just going to be real with where you're at. Now, you can't judge yourself, right? There's always going to be room for improvement. So just be honest. No one's going to be looking really in depth yet at these scores, but we'd be happy to help you. So do you have a professional real estate resume? Again, on 1 to 5, like, where would you rate yourself? Do you know and have your value proposition? And maybe it needs to be adjusted. Maybe it needs to be a little bit more powerful. Do you have not just a listing presentation? Do you have a great listing presentation? Do you have a great buyer presentation? See, all these are really, really good questions about asking us about what do we already have that's in our toolbox. So continuing from there, it's either a yes for 5 or a no for 1. Have you done a DISC assessment, which is a behavior style personality assessment, if you're not familiar? Very powerful for yourself, very powerful as a team leader, and very powerful to help your clients. Again, a no 1, yes 5. Do you consistently attend weekly trainings? Do you have the business partners who care about your growth of your business? There's no bonus points, but it's awesome if you're doing that weekly. Do you have the people to collaborate with marketing and business? Are you getting and giving agent to agent referrals? There's a huge opportunity for this coming up. Do you feel seen and valued at your office? Is your social media branding presence dialed in? And last but not least, because sometimes we tend to forget about ourselves, are you taking care of yourself mentally and physically? Who are you listening to? Who are you listening to? Who are you surrounding yourself with? What are you doing to take care of yourself on a scale from 1 to 5? So this will be, lucky for you guys, sent in a workbook with the recording after this. So if you were driving and you couldn't write those numbers down, don't worry. And if you guys were able to kind of fill those out with the screen up, we'd love to see what like some numbers are. Like where are you at with survival score? And again, like it's just about being honest where you are, because it just shows your gaps, which is going to lead into our next area. Is anyone willing to give me a number?
Just give me a minute to add.
Okay, so there's calculator on your phone if you want. But I will say we often we forget to do this piece. We forget to sit and really think about all the awesome things that we have. And like Daniel said, your gear check, you have lots of gear. We have it all within us. No numbers, no one wants to give me a number? 43, 38. Oh, let's not. 38's great. It just shows you where you need to focus. I didn't even know how many there were. Thanks, Laura. There's 60 high points. 37, 43. Yeah, it actually doesn't really matter where your number is. This goes back to what Daniel said. This helps you with what's your priority, right? So if you think that it just shows you like, whoa, what's really low that I need to bring up? What's really good right now that I can just leave? Because we can't focus on it all, but we can focus on it piece by piece. All right, awesome. We'll keep the numbers coming. Again, that's coming for you to do the exercise. It's really powerful. So make sure that you do that. So leading into that, we got stop, we got think, we got observe. Now we're going to plan. So I'm so excited to introduce Amanda here. She is the owner of Cityside Properties along with her husband. A couple years ago, they took #1 standard team of EXP, and I believe she leads over 1,200 agents, if I have that number correctly. Okay, 1,200 agents. A little fun fact, we're going to call her a Mama Llama right now because that's what her little kids are calling her, and she's expecting a little, or she's expecting a baby boy. They're expecting a brother any day now. You wouldn't know it because we're up this way. And so something kind of interesting, if you want to know why she's IC, it's actually going back to that disc personality that we talked about. She's a unique combo of an I and C, which means that she is an amazing people person. So you're going to love her, but she's also very detail orientated. And so that is part of her awesomeness. She's going to really kind of just start connecting all these pieces because you're like, okay, I know how to stop. I know how to think. I observed, but Laura, what am I going to do? Right? So Amanda, take it away.
This is perfect. I'm a natural planner, and I just think this is so exciting that you guys are breaking down everything. I love this theme. I mean, imagine you're out in the middle of nowhere, you're trying to survive, maybe even thrive. What do you do next? So if you did take that test and you have your score, now you've assessed the situation, right? You'll know where you are, where you want to be, and now it's time to make a plan. Don't worry, this is the fun part. Remember, these things that we're talking about are things that are business tactics that we should have been doing a long time anyway, right? They're not something new and scary that we're doing just because of this NAR rule. It's something that is going to benefit our business no matter what. These are things that top producers probably have been doing for a long time and just haven't been telling you. So it's go time. Let's look at a few. Like Daniel mentioned, let's inventory your gear. What are you working with, my friend? You're running a true business, right? We're not just real estate agents. We're not just realtors. We are business owners and we're running a business. So you need a resume now more than ever. Why would a buyer's agent, why do you bring value? Why would a buyers want to pay for your services? What is your value? How can you save them thousands of dollars on a house? How can you save them monthly money on their mortgage by connecting them to the vendors that you really trust? How are you going to be with them for years to come, even after closing? Write it down. If you don't have a resume, and you're not willing to brag on yourself just a little bit about all the things that you could do for your clients, those clients after closing are not going to be excited to brag about you later to their friends. So get uncomfortable, get in tune with what you're doing and how you can really help people, and make this be a top to-do list on your week this week. So after you do your survival score, start to make a list of things that you are great at or things that you've done that you can put on your resume. So think about it. What are you working with? If you're a new agent on the Zoom, you're probably going, nothing, right? I haven't done anything in real estate. I have no idea. But think about it. What are your life experiences? What were you doing before real estate? Were you in management, service? Are you detail oriented, patient? Are you numbers based? Do you like construction? Do you love learning how things are made and how things are renovated? Do you, I don't know, international travel, and you're passionate about different cultures? You can find a way to tie in anything that you were good at from a previous experience into your real estate career. So get creative with that and think about how that can help you stand out. Could it be part of your unique value proposition that we're starting to work on? And a little mind shift secret that I've seen with a lot of agents that are growing and in coaching is you really have to have an identity shift. Part of being a great sales agent is you do have this identity shift where you go, you know what, I am the best person for this job. I am going to take great care of my client. I am going to go above and beyond with them. And if I don't get out there and market myself and plan and really know what I'm doing, they're going to find someone else who might not be as prepared as I am, who didn't have a plan, who didn't assess their situation, and they're not going to get the level of service that I could provide for them. So be brave and get out there. Okay, so now those are all of your things that you have, you know what you're great at. You've looked at your survival score. Now we want to find out where are your gaps? Some of you are on 20, 30 out of 60, some of you are 40 out of 60. What are you lacking and what are your gaps? Do you have, like Laura was mentioning, do you have a basic buyer's presentation that you can make phenomenal, that you can add your unique value proposition to, that you can customize just for you? Do you have a listing presentation? Have you mastered the disc? So you know not only your personality type, but also your clients and what they're looking for. Think about the disc as like your business love language, right? That's where they're going to be sending and receiving messages. You know, do they like the long, detail-oriented emails, or do they want it quick and, we joke, quick and dirty, like a one-sentence thing, hey, right to the point? How's your social media branding? Is it dialed in? How's your training? Are you staying on top of your game, or are you just barely treading water, just waiting for, you know, that deal to come by? These are, we have trainings. This group is amazing. I feel like they're always trying to bring value. Daily and weekly trainings open for every agent, any brokerage, any experience level. They call it agents helping agents. So don't worry, like get plugged in, and there's really no reason not to be learning at the top of your game. Personally, this is something that I think a lot of us forget about and don't take the time for, but are you taking care of yourself? Remember, you are the CEO of your business. How are you mentally, physically? Let's bump up that score. Okay, CEO, you need a board of directors, right? You're running this company. Who are your board of directors? Your tribe out here in the real estate survival island are going to make or break your business. So don't be afraid to not go on it on your own. Like Daniel was saying, I was just mind blown that I got there and he was like, hey, don't make friends yet, right? Like, imagine if you are on an actual island and you're out there, your life depends on you making friends and collaborating. So don't go on it alone. Find your board of directors. This is where you find your support and your collaboration. So pretend again like your life depends on it. And we almost have a joke like, don't worry, you'll still survive, but your livelihood depends on it. Imagine having to go to your kids and say, sorry, mommy can't pay for soccer because mommy didn't make her phone calls, right? Like it's worth planning and getting out there and being uncomfortable. Some of our board of directors that I think are must-haves is you need a friend for accountability. You need someone that you can call just to blow off steam and vent to that would understand the real estate world. You need someone that you can just bounce questions off and say, hey, can you look at this before I send it to my client? Or have you ever seen this before? I've never bumped into this before. You need a really strong referral system of people who are always thinking of you when they think of real estate in your city. So like Laura Cooper's on this call, anytime people think of Houston and real estate, oh my gosh, I saw this girl on the Zoom, I'm sending her a deal. And then lastly, you need a mentor in any capacity, especially in this world, that has already accomplished what you're trying to accomplish. If they haven't done it before, maybe that couldn't be your mentor. Find someone who's already been there, done that. They've gotten the t-shirt, they've wasted the years and the time and the money, and they've overcome those objections. So that is your game plan. Once you have your inventory, your gear, you know what you're working with, you know your gaps, you have your plan. Now it's time to act. Go time.
Go time is right. Such powerful questions there that again, it's like almost it's the plan, but then the plan is actually going back to observe before we act, right? Like she asked some really powerful questions that you need to take time and you need to answer. And then you need to answer those in like the who can fill that gap for you, and who can be that mentor for you, and who can be that accountability person for you. Because everything is right in front of you if you just take the time to put the work in and see what your business needs. So let's get into ACT. I'm going to bring up Mr. Chris Nolan, owner of the Nolan Group, serving Florida and Maryland as well. As you can see, icon agent and veteran. What's unique is that he served his country, now serving his community, but has also started a nonprofit for veterans, which is just really amazing to give back to the community as well. So we have the stop, think, observe, plan. Let's go to our favorite part, right? Because we always want to do, we're ready to go do, but let's make sure we're doing the right things. And that's what Chris is going to break down once he unmutes.
Thank you so much, Laura. I forgot about that one key part. So yeah, absolutely. It's about having the conversations and getting forward. I agree with everything that we said here, but we have to get out there and build those relationships so we know what we're doing. We're surrounded, I surround myself with great people here, and you need to surround yourself with great people in your local community. We have a saying, KISS, keep it simple, stupid, right? We don't need to get into the weeds, right? Build our team, our lenders, those lenders, they're keeping their finger on the pulse of what's happening there. Make sure you're connecting with them. Get a good, solid lender, good, solid title company, right? Build that team, whether you're an independent agent or you're working actually with a formed team within whatever organization you're in. You're operating as a team. So, bring those providers, your inspectors. I know we're constantly keeping up on, various different things. The insurance regulations keep changing, right? I don't need to follow them. I have reputable people that are letting me know when there's something I need to pay attention to. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, our job is to solve the problem for our clients, right? Buyers, sellers. That's our whole purpose, is to solve the problem that they have in front of us, right? I say it all the time. If we can solve whatever that problem is for the client, we will create, value for the client and create a lifelong endeavor. I actually just got a call yesterday, which was super exciting. I've been working on a rather large listing, and my client, because I built that value with him, he called me up to say that he's already identified the buyer. We haven't quite gotten to the listing agreement, but we're working on it because it's a multi-part deal. He says, look, I still want you to do the paperwork. I'm going to sign with you. We're still going to pay you your commission. I want you to handle the transaction, because I've already done all of the preliminary work and created that value. Now, part of that is I got to be able to present that. And just like Amanda and Laura said, we have to be able to show that to the world and really present who we are, right? If we know who we are, but we don't share it with anybody, nobody's going to know, right? So we have to get out there. We have to be our biggest cheerleader and make sure that everybody knows who we are. If some of the people on my team, some of you here have heard me say, we need to change the narrative. Some of you may be coming here from other industries, right? They may know you as a teacher, a server, a construction worker, whatever it is. That's fine. Now we need to change the narrative in their heads so that they know who we are and why we bring the value to them. Right. We have plenty of listing presentations and buyer presentations. And when we're talking about the survival score of a possible 60, I don't think anybody on here, myself included, has a perfect score of 60. Right. We are always struggling to get to that next level. But if we keep it simple and we don't get caught in the weeds, we can continue on with the task at hand, and we just tweak it. Now, I come from the Marine Corps. Marksmanship was a big thing for us. You know, as much as we want to hit, you know, dead center on the target every time, you don't. Windage changes, elevation changes, and we have to make small adjustments as we go. But you build this out, you build your team, solve the problem, build your value, and now all I have to do is make small adjustments for windage, elevation, and I'm right back on the target, right? Build that platform. So present your value, and then the biggest thing, folks, right? Let's keep in mind, this is the #1 industry in the country. Now, why do I say that? Right? We are the only industry that will directly affect the economy of the United States. All right. We, on average, we all know all the stats, right? The average homeowner, their net worth is 44 times that of a renter, right? We know all the money that it puts into here in Florida, it puts on average $115,000 back into the community, as well as creates 37 jobs each sale we make. We are as an industry, they need us. We've been here before. We will be here at the end. It's time for us to create that value and eliminate the noise. All the other stuff that I saw a comment on about the news saying that it's cheaper to rent than it is to buy. Sure, I saw the same article on the news. Okay, but at the end of the day, yes, you can spend a little bit less and rent in certain markets. However, you're still not building, you know, value, any kind of net worth. You're still paying 100% of somebody else's mortgage. So is it still in your best interest to rent as opposed to buying? It's up to us to build that value, not only on us, but on the market, and why it is so strong to go ahead and, you know, become a homeowner. So thank you. I'll turn it back to you, Laura.
Awesome. I love it. And I love ending with that, with like eliminating that noise. Like it's so important to put all these pieces together that he said and show the value and find the problem and eliminate the noise that's going out there, because it's always been there. I said it in the beginning and I'm going to say it again. I remember like every year there being a new problem. It was like, oh, Redfin has come. They're going to take away all the buyers, the agents. Okay. Well, we didn't go away. Then I heard Amazon was going to take over real estate. Oh no, Amazon's going to take over real estate. They didn't take over real estate. Like Zillow is going to take over. Like our industry has always been, I don't know if attacked is the right word, but it's loud, right? Everyone is interested in real estate, whether you are a real estate agent or you own a home, like people are interested. So there's always going to be noise. So make sure you're listening to the right noise that's getting you in the right direction. So, but acting, there's a lot that we have to do. And so it's going to transition us to the next one is how can we start really acting in our businesses now to be prepared for some of the things that might come up. So I have a dynamic duo here, Tracy and Brandon, that are joining us. They serve the Omaha area. One thing that stands out about them is that more is not necessarily better, but it's more important to diversify that will help you win. And they run a lean and mean machine, which is the ideal home team. But my favorite part is that they're so purposeful on diversifying their funds with crypto, investing, and more passive income to just really get to where they want to be. So let's continue on this acting part. And they're going to really talk about what we can do to service our buyers and sellers and how you can be ready to act. Tracy and Brandon, take it away.
Thank you, Miss MC Laura. You know, first, I just want to take a moment just to thank every single coach on this call and every single agent on this call, because all of us are taking action. So congrats on that with every single one of us just being able to want to really push this forward. And, you know, change is hard. I mean, if change was easy, everybody would do it every step of the way. And this is a time where I'll tell you the one thing I am most excited about is to wave goodbye to all those part-time real estate agents. It is finally time to say adios, amigos, because there is no space for you anymore. So right now, it's up to us to decide where you want to go with this. And to us, it's always action, and it's, you know, it's communicating with everybody around you. And we've been really diving in the last week and a half with just reaching out to agents, seeing what they're seeing, what are you hearing from the clients? And so today we want to just go into what's been the most common questions all agents have been asking us, and we want to do some role playing. So introducing Mr. And you got anything else to add before we jump into that, Brandon?
I love it. And, thanks for the nuggets above us with everything there. I really wrote some notes down here. Cheat to win is the highest, but that's odd. That's just kind of odd. But anyway, I preface this with, things will change in July, right? Who knows, whatever, but let's practice now. Practice with your family, your friends, your good clients now. Explain to them you're practicing, right? Explain to them, be humble, because we're all learning a little bit. I kind of make it similar to like when you practice your safety, right? Like many of times when I show a good family friend, I never turn my back to them in the house, just so I can practice that muscle memory when I am meeting a stranger there and things like that. So it's just practice time, sharpen your elbows. So come July, we're ninjas when it comes to this stuff.
All right. I am Miss.
My favorite part of real estate, role playing. Let's do this.
Let's see. I'm going to be Sally the seller. So Mr. Agent B, hey, thanks for sitting down at my kitchen table today. Brandon, the first thing I got to ask you is, are you being sued?
Good question, Susie. I am currently not under any litigation, right, in any of my business. The National Association of Realtors was sued due to some communication they wanted to improve to the public. That will fall and settle down in July.
Okay, so I'm seeing this all over the news. Everybody's like just preaching that I don't have to pay a buyer's agent anymore. So what's up with that? Do I?
Well, it's really up to you, and nothing changes. Always been up to you. Let me make sure that we're clear on that. What we're doing here is we're determining what is best to market your property to the most buyers and get you the highest net possible, right? I can tell you there are lots of advantages to working with a buyer's agent. Lots. You've probably bought this home with a buyer's agent, and maybe you could tell me a few yourself. Yet, I've really identified one advantage or disadvantage, I guess, of working with an agent, and that is the fee. So I want to show you a few different selections, a few different options, advantages, disadvantages. You make the decision, but the main thing here is your net income check. We focus on your net income, and I don't want one line item on your closing disorder to maybe, or closing docs to maybe close you 2.5% when the net income might be 10% lower. Let's not try to save you 2.5% to lose you 10.5%.
Well, can I negotiate the buyer's agent fee when I get an offer?
Right. And, depending on what you're going to pay a buyer's agent, which was the next question on the role play list, you skipped one. Yes, I love being fluid. But yes, what would you pay a buyer's agent, right? Well, let's see, this is really going to determine on who might be buying your house, right? Am I sitting in right now a first-time home buyer home, right? I can tell you 99% of first-time home buyers use an agent. Okay, so if I want to get you the straight path to your highest net on your closing docs, let's maybe use a buyer agent commission for this home. Very helpful to first-time buyers, right? Is this house maybe a move up buy? Somebody that has bought homes before, maybe moving their family from their first home to their second home? Maybe they understand some of the process and want to do it themselves. Maybe they don't want the realtor opening the door. Maybe they want to go see it on their own, right? Cool. But maybe at that point, that buyer needs more of a seller concession. We're going to throw a lump of money on the buyer incentive side and let them make a decision. They're fairly educated, right? Am I sitting in a beautiful luxury home that people are coming from around the world in? Those people might hire a local buyer rep and pay them directly. You might not have any fees, right? So this is the pathway to your goals. Don't worry about that side. Let's focus on your net.
So, how will you as an agent in your brokerage, communicate the compensation without using the MLS?
Right. Out of all the stuff you read, the main thing here is the MLS can't have a comp code. And, when I used to show homes, I had my agent disclosure and I asked the question, do you know how I make money? They didn't. I showed them my sheet. I didn't give it to them. I said, here's a comp code. Here's how I make money. Here's my expenses. Here's my taxes. Here's what I'm going to make on this. And they say, wow, you're cheap for real. Okay. And so when they understood my value before, they were guessing on my value. So I like when they ask me how I make money, right? Because I am going to show them my value. But I'm lucky, like I don't worry about this. My brokerage has this handled. EXP could run without the MLS tomorrow, or it could have ran without the MLS last week. Not a big deal. We have 98,000 agents on one internal channel like Facebook. We're actually the largest user. Not to mention we have Zenlist, which is basically an MLS syndication that can go wherever we direct it. So that always to me has actually been the last place I found good information. I know that's weird. And the only place that it really had the comp code. So I can list comp codes on my website, my broker website, any way that actually detects or determines the best way for you to finish at the end with your highest net.
Well, thank you, Mr. Agent. How do I move forward?
You sign. This business might become a contract business, and take that to your advantage.
And I'll tell you, one of the biggest things that we've always done kind of leading up to even just the NAR settlement is we've always had 5 different options we present sellers. Just go in there and you have to itemize that out. Give them every single option. Just don't go in there narrow-minded with one thought, one option on what's best fit for that seller. And so we're not honestly going to be doing anything different moving forward. It's just time to educate everyone else is why wouldn't you go in with 5 offers and just individualize what they're after, what are their goals, because maybe they don't need that situation of a full stage. Maybe they don't need that full situation of, you know, coming in and doing any repairs. There's so many opportunities, but I think that's the biggest thing is really giving those sellers the options. So then there is no reason not to hire you because you're providing any and every option that any other agent would possibly come in through the door and provide to them as well. All right, we're going to flip switch now. I'm going to be now Betty the buyer. All right, Mr. Agent B, how will you save me money as a buyer's agent?
Oh, wow. That is a great question. I've been saving buyers money my whole career. Like that. So let me tell you how, because I know that, you know, every market's different. Right now it's gangbusters, and I'm not going to talk about oddities when there's 35 offers on one home, but I'm going to talk to you about the last 15 years that I've worked this market and became a local expert. Is that my buyers that I bring to in a normal market, their close price to list price is 97%. So my average for a standard market is saving and getting my buyer a 3% off the deal off the top. Okay. So I can also tell you, in working with buyers, they want an inspection, right? Sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't. If that inspection goes, the average repair sum of whatever it might be is $2,400. How many times do you think my buyer pays all that? You know, they don't. And I don't want you to pay that. So I'm just going to add up a few more things, right? There's probably 3 or 4 major items in every home, and they usually cost between $8,000 and $12,000. If you want more detail, let me know, because I have rentals and I swear all of them always go out. So anyway, the thing is that if you look at the commission, the average commissions around the country were between 2 and 3%. If I can save you and give you advice on avoiding one repair of these 3 to 4 majors over the next 2 to 3 years, I have done my job. And my job is to get you in a home. And my only way my business works is if you are happy on the end and refer my name. I don't care about anything else. That's my KPS. That's my metric. That's what I score. And was I referred in here by your client? That's how we win, right? So that's how I kind of get into that. Not to mention, I want to really tell you is that this is a key thing that I picked up just a day ago, and I'm getting a lot of script, is that our listing agreements that you have signed and buyer agreements, all of this has forth in the state of Nebraska led with arbitration and mediation. I don't see now that any of this, any questions, anything are going straight to legal fees. I don't know what it's going to cost to defend yourself, but I can guarantee you defending yourself not in the home that you wanted is not going to feel good, right? So that's the big risk here. Your goal is to get the home, and that's my goal too. Saving money is a dangerous game in this industry, but I hope that kind of gives you an idea of how I separate myself. One tangent on this, and I'm going off a little bit, is that I really am trying to identify my value prop as a buyer's agent. First off, my value prop that I bring is possibly with my brokerage or anything, and then my value prop as an agent. And I really think you need to figure those out. Did I answer your question, Susie?
You did. And can I go ahead and see that 123 Georgia Avenue?
Why can't I just represent myself? Is that where we're going?
Okay, you already answered that.
Good. Sorry, I'm going off. Look at us.
Yeah, see,
Follow us
teamwork.
around. Cute like a call. Okay, what was that?
Okay, well, how much can you really save me then?
I can help you on the big opportunity of saving money, but let me talk to you about my personal business on how I think I can separate myself and save you money. Is I am an expert at understanding my back end fees. My brokerage allows me to cap. So I have a fixed cost on certain back end fees. Not only to mention that is that I have no like franchise fees or junk fees into my back end business. So me as an agent, I know my numbers, I know my caps, and I know my thresholds. So I can offer you pricing at any time. I don't have continual costs that are completely racking up that I can't forecast what they are going to be. So I look at my expenses over a year. I'm not just trying to charge what I need right now to eat this month. So I really want you to understand how I, as a person, run my business compared to how other people might run their business and how that'll benefit you.
Can I see that acreage in Gretna tonight?
You want to see a home?
I do.
Yes, I can open that door, right? I will send over some paperwork for you to okay, along with any of the buyer side incentives, details from the seller, and I'll meet you there.
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right, so I mean, just don't hold this up. Be active, be fun, and overall, I think one thing that I have something that I'm blessed with is my wife is 20 years in and an expert in our industry, right? I'm honestly 3 or 4 years in. I've done a lot of finance, flipping, mortgage stuff, right? So I kind of want to know just a couple things from a young agent, myself, 3 to 4 years in, to somebody that's 20, 30 years in. Like, how are you controlling your stress right now?
I would say the number one thing that I've done personally is I've integrated more of the DISC profile and success assessments into my life, into my marriage, into my family, into my business, and really diving deeper within myself and knowing what my strengths are, what my weaknesses are. And if you haven't really dialed in into what are your behaviors, what are your motives, this is the time. This is the time to really challenge yourself, figure out where your stress comes from every day, and where that stress is coming from, delegate it. There's no reason for you to do that if you continuously have stress from doing that in your business. Everybody has different strengths. It is time now. Take your strengths, focus in on them, and now delegate all your weaknesses and work together. And that is going to be the biggest thing to keep that stress down and provide that level of success.
You've been an excellent communicator at me to work on my behaviors and stressors and to delegate things. She's an expert at that. I can vouch for that. So what's your biggest fear? As a senior agent, 20 years in, you've done everything in the book. People know you. It's Tracy. You're the girl. What's your biggest fear?
I would say to wake up and to be a transaction only agent.
How's that like? Did that really scare you?
Luckily, I'm in a position now that we've been able to open up multiple lanes of revenue and income within the same industry. And so I'm no longer having to have that stress of just being compensated in one lane. And so this is a time to really dive in with your business and figure out how you can open up those other lanes, because that right there has given me peace no matter what comes our way from the industry. It's like, we're ready for it and we refuse to lose. And it is a key to basically surviving and thriving right now.
I would say your biggest fear too is just having to work with me alone. You need to be out with other humans and whatnot. I like Excel sheets. She likes hearts and souls. Okay, one more question. I just want to know, like, going back 15, 20 years, you're 2 to 3 years in, you're a newbie, you're like, holy crap, I just got a few deals. This lawsuit, oh my gosh. What would you do 15, 20 years ago if you knew right now this was coming to be a game changer through your whole career?
20 years ago, I was driving alone in the car, and that's all I wanted to do. Is I wanted to wear every hat in my business. I wanted to be it all. And I wanted the power of controlling my business. And I didn't even know what the word leverage was. And, there are some really important leaders that came into my life to show me what leverage can do for you, your family, and your future. And all I'm asking you, like right now, is If you're not leveraging and you're not getting in those rooms that you're uncomfortable with, and if you're not joining networks like Grow in order to have free resources and just amazing collaboration, then you're missing out, and you might as well start to put a resume, not for buyers, but a resume for a 9-to-5 job.
There it is. So I assume your one direction for the newbies out there is to do what today?
Take action and really dive in deeper with yourself and welcome this change as an opportunity to really live the life you're after. And let's go.
And you can do all that by just joining Grow. Thank you.
I'm trying my best to be Vanna White. I don't know when I should click for this. Did you have anything that you wanted to add here on this real quick, or they can just read it?
This kind of just goes into our tool bank, and we'll share more of that. But our brokerage has already offered us a buyer sheet of frequently asked questions and whatnot. So this is just part of sharpening your audio skills, but also knowing that you're going to be handing out some paperwork, and get used to it, and get used to them signing it and returning it.
Love it. Love it. Love it. And some states actually already do for that buyer agreement. I'm in Maryland, and we've been doing it ever since I've been in business. So that's why it's important to collaborate nationwide, because I've been able to handle all the objections very easily. And so it's easy to share hey, it's really not that big of a deal. I've been doing it this whole time. So if that doesn't get you excited about Post July, it's just conversations. Did you see the energy? Did you see how actually we know the things that we do? What we need to do is be better at articulating them to the buyer's agent. And let's just face it, it was a little bit easier being a buyer's agent. You didn't necessarily have to show the value. You had it within you, but they clearly laid it out so that you can say, this is why you want to work with me. And they put it to monetize. This is how I'm going to save you money. And luckily for you guys, it's recorded, because those were awesome scripts / verbiage, whatever word that you want to use. But it is important to practice. It's important to kind of know what could come up and be ready for it. And then I also just want to remind you is you can't prepare for everything that we don't know, but you can do the best you can, which is what we're doing today, right? And so by kind of saying, well, what could the buyer say, or what could the seller say? And having some, ready verbiage to be able to say back to them. There's going to be times where maybe you were stumped, and just remember that's the lesson. And when you learn from the lesson, you now get to use that moving forward, and you won't be stumped again. So hopefully by now you're kind of just reflecting on this whole process and realizing yeah, this is not scary, even though it sounds scary. Yes, I do have everything it takes. Yes, I am an awesome buyer's agent. I can share those things. I just never was doing it at a high level. So you can start connecting the dots of how it's just not that scary. So now we need to lead into what's next. We talked about the business, and then we talked about you as an agent and who you're surrounding yourself with. And now you really need to bring it inward, and we need to be talking about ourselves. So one thing I just wanted to quickly remind you is that there's going to be a lot of steps, but we don't have to figure it out. Just what's your next step? Everybody's a little bit different on what they need. So, from this, decide, what do I need now? And then what do I need next? And you're going to get to where you want to be. So before we finish up, just a friendly reminder that obviously we love collaborating and sharing and helping. So there's multiple ways to join us. There's the workbook coming that is going to be giving you the opportunity to take that success test. You'll see that for free. Thank you, Tracy. There's YouTube. We have a Facebook group, website. We all learn a little bit different, and we have it all different ways. So that's how you'll be able to connect with us. But that's going to lead us into, again, let's focus on ourselves as well, right? We can't just focus on everything else. We have to focus on ourselves. And so that's why we have Tanya here, who's up to lead us in this. She's a national real estate coach and team leader based in the Colorado area, over 21 years of business, and led over 200 and growing agents to help them be productive and achieve the goals they're looking for. And she's also the poster child for what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. She's actually a widowmaker, open heart surgery survivor. And she's just a true definition of resilience and overcoming adversity. She's powerful. She is just warm and welcoming. And I just can't wait for her to wrap this all up. It's yours, Tanya.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Laura. Thank you, everybody that spoke. I am so happy to be here. And You know, man, Tracy and Brandon, you guys did an amazing job. Thank you. And I just wanted to mention to you guys, when they talked about the resources and what they have to offer, when you join EXP and the Grow Network, you actually get their listing presentation and you get all of our materials that we have. So there's no guessing. You literally can go in. It is turnkey. You put your name in, your face in, boom, you're ready to go. So that's where the value comes in. You know, no change, no change. Right now, we need to think about ourselves, right? The most important thing right now is personal growth. And you need to figure out what, Laura, can you go back to that last, so no change, no change. Change yourself in your environment. Challenge yourself in your new environment. Next, please. So I do want to mention that, you know, Tracy was talking about stress. With Grow, we came up with this tagline. It is stress less, more success. Stress less, more success. And I have to tell you guys, being in this business over 21 years, you know, I did have a, 2 years ago, I went in for heart surgery. And I do believe that the Widowmaker was caused by life things, but this industry. And the most important thing right now is whether you're really busy with business or you're slow and you're preparing, you cannot enjoy your wealth unless you have your health. You need to make sure that you are mentally, emotionally, financially, and physically sound. And if you are take this back to the survival score, if you are deficient in one of those things, massively deficient, guess what? It is okay to press pause and to tell your team and to tell your people, you know what? I have to take a minute to regroup and I have to take a minute to take care of myself, because if I don't take care of myself, I'm not going to be able to take care of you, my family, you, my husband, wife, or even my clients. Stress is energy, right? And your clients can feel your energy, okay? It's very important to know that if you're not managing that, you're either attracting business or you are losing business and repelling it, okay? So do you want to be an attractor of it, or do you want to be repelling it? And as a John Maxwell leadership coach and a DISC coach, a lot of us are unaware, right? Self-awareness is a beautiful thing. But the only way that you can be aware is that you are in rooms like this and you are not the smartest person in the room, that you are in rooms that challenge you. And I got to tell you, with my coaches leadership group, these speakers and Grow, I literally feel like the dumbest person in the room. And guess what? I freaking love it. So change depends on your choices and your habits. Okay. So you have to think about what kind of habits are hurting me right now, right? So we always talk about all the different habits that we need to put in place to become the 10, right? To become lean and mean and beautiful. You know, a lot of times we're focused on, I'm just going to, 10x it and I'm going to grow and then I'm going to lose all this weight. I'm going to make all this money. But guess what? For every yes, for every commitment that you make, you're saying no to something else. And my question is, are you saying no to your marriage? Are you saying no to your health? Are you saying no to your kids? Are you saying no to your team? As a John Maxwell leadership coach, I coach and teach teams all throughout the country that are making tons of money. And they come to me and they say, Tanya, I want to fire my whole team. And guess what? 9 times out of 10, I would not even say 10 times out of 10, it's time to fire yourself. So going into the assessment that Tracy's offering, this is free. It is a free page assessment that's like 25 pages. To know yourself is to grow yourself. And the thing is, if you need to fire yourself today, you need to figure out what habits are holding you back. And I want you to write this down for a minute. What habits are holding you back? A couple of habits that I see that's holding real estate agents back, are social media and too much time on social media on the phone. Okay. Comparison. The comparison syndrome is holding people back. Fake book is holding people back. We look at what everybody else is doing and we think, wow, they have more than I do. Or you can be having an amazing day, like, woo, I got my mojo back, right? Like I've been divorced. I was married 23 years and divorced. I got my mojo back. Boom. I was like, yeah, let's go. And then I turn on Facebook, fake book, and I'm like, well, I kind of suck. Okay. And if you look inside people's lives, you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. So I just want to encourage you right now, be kind, be helpful, be collaborative, be real, be authentic, but you can't be all that if you're not managing your stress, because the habits that create all of that stress by saying yes too much to the wrong things, right? Saying no to the wrong things and yes to the right things is going to help you be better. So assess your environment. No change, no change. If you're always in the head of the class, then you're going to be in the wrong class. Okay. Right now, the most important thing is to win the race against yourself. When I did my Ironman, years ago, it's 140.6 miles. Someone was like, where are you going to be? I'm like, what do you mean where am I going to be? Am I going to be in the front? Am I going to be in the middle or the back? And I go, I'm just going to swim. Like, I'm going to swim. I just need to survive. They're like, no, girl, this is a 2,000 person race. You have to pick the front, the middle, or the back. And going back to survival, what Daniel mentioned, right? Where are you going to survive? Sometimes you have to say, you know what? I'm in the front. I'm in an empty nester stage, or I'm in a builder stage. But sometimes you have to say, you know what? I'm going to be in the middle. Like Laura Cooper, right? She's kicking butt right now, but she's in the front. She needs to move to the middle a little bit to let other people lead so she can take a break and build a little bit differently. Okay. And it's okay if you're in the back. When you're in the back, just means that you have some self-awareness that I need to take a break and I need to reassess. But guess what? It is who leads you. You cannot get to the top alone. And you have to decide who those people are. So next, please. So you have to decide to change. Change yourself, but not your environment, and your growth will be slow. Change your environment, but not yourself, and your growth will be slow and less difficult. Change your environment and yourself, and growth will be faster and more successful. Next, please. So when you change your environment, you have to think about assessing it. There's two kinds of C's: people and things that contribute and contaminate. Okay. Want you guys to do this exercise. Who's contributing to my life right now? Who's bringing me joy? If you're surrounded by a bunch of realtors that are whining, not winning, then it's time to change your environment. You either have to get out of the office, right? Get out of your house if it's in your house, or you have to change your brokerages or change the leaders that are leading you, because nobody is going to take you to the top if you do not make that change. And then I want you to write down who is contaminating your space. Who are the 5 people that you spend the most time with that aren't your family, right? A lot of times people are like, I just hang around with my family. I'm like, well, that's a problem. Okay, you're a realtor and you actually need to know people, and it's about expanding your reach. But who's contaminating your space? And if people write those down, okay, and really think about this. If those people are contaminating your space, it's time to either put them on a shelf, or it's time to have a hard conversation with them and say, look, I love you, but guess what? Time to put you on a shelf. You're too negative. You're affecting my success. You're affecting my sanity. And ain't nobody got time for this. Not just realtors. Nobody has time for negative people and people that are going to feel sorry for themselves. Because I'm going to leave you with this: is my coach said, if you have one foot into yesterday and another foot into tomorrow, you're pissing on today. The NAR lawsuit is changing daily by the second, every single day. And nobody, not one person, has all the answers. But you want to go with the group that has more answers. And that's why collectively, this is who we are. EXP they figured this out before this even rolled out. Next slide, please. So challenge yourself in your new environment. Whatever environment you do decide to change in, all failure is failure to adapt. All success is successful adaptation. Okay. So what are you going to change? Next slide. My question is, what are you going to do to survive and thrive, right? Don't get complacent. This isn't about full survival. This is about thriving, okay? Because a lot of people are getting out. Let them get out. Let them be scared. You should not be scared if you have a group behind you. So write that down and challenge yourself. What am I going to do to change myself? What am I going to do to change up spelling error? Sorry, this is I'm an ID on the disc scale. My C is really low. I always get checked by my friends here. So what are you going to do to change yourself? Okay. Your habits. What are you going to eliminate? Who are you going to eliminate? Who are you going to put on a shelf and say, hey, see ya, wouldn't want to be ya. Check me out in 90 days. Okay. And then what are you going to do to challenge yourself? And I want to leave you with this. Do something hard. Do something hard. And something hard might be making that change. And don't worry about what the critics say. Something hard might be signing up for an Ironman, signing up for a little walk or a race. Do something physical, because when you're physically well, you're mentally well. Thank you.
Love it. Right, mic drop. I was like, whoa, okay, how am I gonna close this? But what I want to say is have somebody that is asking you the hard questions. She asks really hard questions. You need somebody in your life asking you those questions, because we just float, we stay comfortable, and we don't take time to answer these and figure out where change really needs to be made. So to finish it up and save time, if there's any Q&A, we have a survival series coming. And so the first one is to really elevate your buyer game. It's going to be hosted by Laura Square. That means Laura Cooper, and myself, Laura Malik. But you already have it inside you to be an awesome buyer's agent. So we're actually going to give you those advanced strategies. Like some of those you heard today, and we have even more, is like, what does your buyer presentation need to have? What conversations do you need to have? What verbiage do you need to get better with to really elevate your game? So that's going to be on for next Wednesday. And when you get that lovely workbook that comes through, don't worry, that information is there for you. So that being said, we just want a huge thank you to everyone who jumped on the screen and poured, and we have more of us that are just out there. But I'll go ahead and stop the screen share, and Tanya, if you want any other closing words, and then we can take any questions. But we hope that you left with energy. We're glad that you put yourself in these rooms. We hope that you leave with the confidence of like, I got this, with the right people.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I hope you guys can see that we got our crap together over here. Can I get an amen? Can I get a hands up? So, some people are asking, what is GROW? Okay. GROW is our global realty org. So when you're out there and you're seeing people collaborating like Place, you see teams collaborating like Place, and like all these teams kind of coming together. Global Realty Org is just a network of all of us in different business organizations coming together. And we literally are sharing all of our knowledge. And every Wednesday we're teaching, you get all of our assets. And it's really a place where we can make real estate fun again, right? Stress less, more success. That's all I have to say. All right. So any questions? We have 2 minutes for questions. I just want to say thumbs up, hands up. How'd you guys like this? Was it helpful? Was this more winning than whining? Yeah, because I know there's a lot of stuff out there and people are just complaining, and we wanted to bring it to you hot, coming in hot. All right, any questions? All right, so we are going to send you our workbook, and in the workbook, you are going to have a QR code to go to our YouTube channel where all of these amazing friends of mine are speaking. We have tons of training. We had a whole listing series just recently, right? List to last, figure out how to list, right? We had an entire listing series on there. Chris Heller, the former CEO, also is a friend of all of ours, and he speaks for us. We have marketing, we have AI, we have buyers. Like, there's nothing else out there like that, you guys. And if you guys feel like you need to collaborate like this, and you want to have more fun, and you need resources so you can go out and literally sell and not become a marketing expert or an AI expert, we got you. Laura, do you want to close with anything?
No, I just think it's just important now more than ever is collaboration. Like as soon as I saw the NAR drop in the news, like sure in my heart, I was like, oh wow, and I was like, I know exactly what I need. I just need to be around other amazing agents who are ready to tackle it together, who are ready to share. Because again, like if you've been in it for years, like change has always happened. COVID, we all were like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? We had to, decide how to navigate that. And there's always changes. So it's just a matter of put yourself in the room, be uncomfortable. If you know things, share, like be everybody, because that's what's going to get us through to the next step.